Hello and welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute-a-day podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse, recorded here in the dining room of the Bible Bistro, located in Sharonville, Ohio. Hey there friends, welcome back to Daily Dose Radio here in the Bible Bistro. Come on in here and sit down and get yourself something hot or cold to drink. You know, I was just thinking, I've been using that phrase, let that screen door slam behind you. That really is something that comes out of my childhood, because when I was a boy, we would visit my grandmother, who lived deep in the country in western Kentucky, in a little bitty country town that she lived just outside of, and we could walk to the supermarket. Well, it wasn't a supermarket; it was an IGA. It was as supermarket as they had, and in the summertime. And I don't know why, but in the summertime, that building was always so cool on the inside. And they always had the front door open and just the screen door shut. And so when you would walk in, you would pull that screen door open and walk in, and it had a spring on it that would pull it shut. And so it would slam, not, real loud, but it would. You could hear it hit and click behind you. And that's just a precious memory of mine. So when I say, come on in here and let the screen door slam behind you, that's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of that IGA that we used to walk down to get a cold drink in the summertime. Today we're going to look at verse 6, Psalm 53. Hasn't this been a wonderful psalm? Yeah, it's a wonderful psalm, and it teaches us something very important. So truly this is a maskil. Number one, it teaches us that there's none righteous. We're all sold under sin, just as Paul takes this passage and uses it in Romans 3 to teach us. So that's the best commentary on these verses. The workers of iniquity, they're always there. They're the ones that are going to eat up the people of God, or at least try to, because they haven't called upon God. And God despises them. He despises the workers of iniquity. He despises the fact that they're corrupt, and that they don't seek God, and they're turned back, and they're filthy, and they don't do good. God despises that, and so that kind of mediates between, or maybe softens or hardens the idea of God's love. What He did in Christ Jesus for us, His love in that act, is a way of escape, because God despises sin. And He's going to judge it. And we need to understand that. And so when you see what He did in Christ, He could have just not done that, and He would have been righteous in all of His actions towards us. But He loved us that much. Even though He despises sin, He allowed His Son to become sin for us. Well, I better hurry and get on with in verse 6, hadn't I? Oh, that the salvation of Israel were come out of Zion. Well, you know what? It will, won't it? It's going to. As a matter of fact, it did, because Jesus went there. He died on a cross there. When God brings back the captivity of His people, Jacob shall rejoice, and Israel shall be glad. Here is the rejoicing of the people of God. It is in what happened in that city, because outside of that city, Christ was crucified. He was crucified outside of the gates. And His blood avails to forgive sin. And He died on that cross, and they laid Him in a tomb outside of that city. So when it says, oh, that the salvation of Israel were come out of Zion, ladies and gentlemen, it has. And He was raised from the dead on the third day outside of that city. So salvation has come, and God has brought back the captivities of His people, and Israel is glad. And Jacob does rejoice, because Christ Himself has risen from the dead. This is the gospel to the Jew first, and then to the Gentile. It is for the Jew. So when David writes this, Jacob shall rejoice, Israel shall be glad, it's right that he does it, because it is for them. The promise is to them first, and then to us who are not of Jewish descent. Oh, that the salvation of Israel were come out of Zion. Friends, it has, and it will. We look forward to the day when He returns. Join me again next week. We'll look at Psalm 54 here on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. For more fresh and delicious Bible studies, podcasts, books, and more, check out the Bible Bistro online and on YouTube. Join me again next time for Daily Dose Radio.